business trip.
Did the people move around?
It does tingle a little bit. All right, what's going on, everybody? It is the DPI podcast, and it is top 3 time. If you haven't been part of the top 3 episode before, Peter and I are going to randomly draw a top 3 question, and we have 20 seconds to figure out what our favorite 3 or what our least favorite 3. That hat is sharp.
This is my favorite hat, and I got it at the pro shop that you can totally walkable distance from the Polynesian. I just saw it sitting over here. I was like, this is my favorite hat. It's got the magnolia, the palm, and golf. Like, this is my new.
There you go. There you go. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a chip out of the bag. We're going to line it up with a question. We're going to give you our answers. If you don't like our answers, you think you got better answers, put them down in the comments. Let us know what you think.
Yes, Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon.
You with your 37 N's and 4 A's.
And if you have a top 3 idea that you want to share with us, go over to the website. It's scrolling down at the bottom, but if you're on the podcast, patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. It's up in the top right-hand corner, and submit one today. So let's see what today's number is going to be, and it is going to be number 11. Number 11 is going to line up with, and I'm actually like ready and everything today. Actually, one that I was looking at a little bit earlier. Number 11 is the top thrill rides at Walt Disney World.
Something you were looking at earlier, meaning you've planned your. This is ridiculous.
No, it's not.
A redraw.
No, it's not ridiculous. You're out of your mind. I was adding things to the top 3 list earlier, and I noticed that was on there. So shut up and.
Planning your first trip and getting overwhelmed by all the details? Planning your next trip and just want some new suggestions on things you haven't tried? Contact me at Princess and the Mouse Travel, and I'd love to work with you planning your next trip to the most magical place on earth.
You can contact Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel on Facebook at PATM Disney Travel. All right, we have top 3 thrill rides tonight. We were kind of jawing at each other during the 20 seconds. He's got his, I've got mine. Peter, go ahead and go first. What's your number 3?
No, you're going first. You're going first.
Okay.
Called it.
Number 3 for me. Number 3 for me is Rock and Roller Coaster. Over at Hollywood Studios, fantastic. The only upside down roller coaster at Walt Disney World. Great ride. Aerosmith does the soundtrack, at least for the time being. There are some rumors that Aerosmith may be going away here real soon. But great ride. Good queue. Get to see yourself on a concert poster. The pre-show's really neat. And then you board your limo, and you have a maglev launch into, a good twisted track for a roller coaster. No, not maglev launch. It's a pulley launch. But whatever. 0 to 60 gets you going pretty quick, and it's a lot of fun. So my number 3, Rock and Roller Coaster. Peter, what's your number 3?
I'm going to go immediately adjacent to that with an absolute classic that we can't skip. My daughter affectionately calls it the Up-Down ride. She went on it for her first time as early as, I believe, 5 years old, and cried the whole time, got off, and then was like, okay, I want to go again. like one of those experiences. So I'm going to go with Hollywood Tower of Terror, and it is, it's just a classic, right? And
it is.
So stinking long. Obviously, over at Disneyland, it has been converted into Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Not a lot of people were a huge fan when it was switching over, in the same vein as currently what's going on with Splash Mountain. A lot of loyalists were really upset with that. But when Disney said that, they did vow that the one at Hollywood Studios would remain unchanged for I mean, obviously anybody can come in and nix this, but they basically said, no, we're going to keep it there so that that ride still exists in its purest form. For those of you unfamiliar, lobby is very macabre feeling as you walk your way into the building, almost like a haunted mansion-esque vibe. Pre-show is the Twilight Zone, where you're entering an episode. You then walk through this dingy, poor-lit service boiler area and climb aboard a rusted-out service elevator before getting your ever-living bejesus. And here's an interesting thing about that. In the same way that Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror is actually a spring and pulley system, which is why you're able to get such speeds, even though the maximum drop that you take on that ride is maybe all of like 30 feet. So it's the building's only like 3 or 4 stories in that tower. You get the incredible speeds because it's made out of springs, rubber bands, and pulleys to quickly jettison you very quickly up, very quickly. Very, very thrilling ride. And we'll check in at my number 3.
There you go. Let me choke myself up here. So my number 2, I went a couple of different places to think about number 2, but my number 2, I'm going to go over to Animal Kingdom and go with Expedition Everest. Again, I'm a coaster fanatic, and when it comes to Disney coasters, this is probably your classic Disney coaster. Great queue. You wind through basically a base camp for an expedition up Everest. I mean, basically what it is. And then the train is very well detailed. Great ride. You encounter the Yeti a couple of times. Just a really good ride. Good drop. Good high backward section. Just a lot of cool features to that coaster that make it a really good ride. It never goes over 35 miles per hour, but you feel like you are flying on that track. So really well designed. Great gift shop once you come out as well. So, and then it's just one of those, you know, you have the Tree of Life, but it's almost like a secondary icon in that park with how ominous it stands in the backside of that park. So it's just a really, really cool overall, well-themed, well thought out, well planned out ride. So number 2 for me is Expedition Everest. Peter, before you get to your number 2, tell people where they can find you.
Oh, this is early.
It is.
So find me over on Facebook. If you type in Disney Travel Agent, I should come up pretty quickly. Officially, Princesses and the Mouse will really get you to me, and I would love to get talking to you. Got several people kind of dabble in and tiptoe in, but I would love to get some more people going for spring break trips. We are right now, today was the April the 1st. So in terms of 60 days out for dining. So really important if you're planning on going in April and then obviously into the early summer, June, July, that you start that planning now so you're ready to go 60 days out. Although, you know what, I'll come back to this. I'll do my number 2 and then I'll tell you something crazy that happened to me today with booking dining because I'm 60 days out for my trip. So
there you go.
Number 2, I am going to jump over to Epcot and give it a little bit of love. We hung out in Hollywood Studios. Then you went over to Animal Kingdom. Love that you did that. I'm going to jump to Epcot and give it a little bit of love. And there's 2 obvious, clear thrill rides in Epcot. But I am actually going to go for the new show as opposed to the old tried and true. Although, albeit it is the fastest ride in all of the parks, the other thrill ride over in Epcot. But I'm going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy. That ride is just absolutely thrilling to me. I have now been on it over 10 times through the use of virtual queuing and individual Lightning Lane purchases. I have spent more money than I care to try and total up to purchase ride queuing. If anything, I'm really excited about April because that should mean that the virtual queuing for Guardians should shut down when the virtual queuing for Tron comes up. So it is just phenomenal. The most thrilling part of that ride, there's two of them, and the first one is the backward launch. That is just, you're sitting there and you know it's coming, and it's still just, it's so fun, and it's such an amazing experience because right as you begin that backward launch, the song queues up, and it's just so much fun, and what a great experience. And then there's a part later on where you're kind of like circling the moon, and that there you just sort of like get these G-forces going. The whole time is just really fun, and while maybe not as thrilling as others, just the whole experience just ups the thrill in my mind and just makes me like, I can't wait to do it more. So that is my number 2 over at the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, because I never officially said the title of the ride. So,
There you go. So what happened to you booking today?
Oh, I got storybook dining at Artist Point at 4:30 on our arrival day.
Really?
That right? Like what? Like a good during the early evening? Yeah, because our first day we're just checking in, and I was floored that I was able to get it on the day of, and it wasn't even quick. I like went through the rest of my booking, and at around 6:30, a half hour after the dining had been open, I was like, oh, it'd be fun to go to Artist Point. Oh my God, it's available on the day we check in. How is it available the day we check in?
And it's characters and everything back, right?
Yes. Yeah, Snow White, and you got Dopey, Grumpy, Snow White, and the Evil Queen.
Yeah.
Dusty and I ate there last year at our anniversary. Kids haven't been there in 3 years, so I was like, hey, I'm going to book this stinking thing.
There you go. So let's go ahead and go to our number 1. Like I said in the opener, if you've got one that you think should be in the top 3 that we did not mention, put it down in the comments. Let us know. We love to get the feedback and that interaction with our viewers. So my number 1, probably Peter's number 1 as well, is going to be Avatar Flight of Passage.
I'm prepared for a second one. If you didn't do that, I was going to do that.
It's just so good. It is. So, based on the movie Avatar, you basically get linked to an avatar through this ride vehicle, and it makes you feel like you're flying on the back of a Banshee. So, huge projector technology in front of you kind of gives you that that feeling of flight. And then to top it off, the ride vehicle actually has a diaphragm that expands and contracts, so it feels like it's actually breathing between your legs. It's just the craziest thing in the world. 3D ride, so if the 3D stuff kind of triggers any motion sickness or anything like that, be aware of that. But just great, and that whole area is just so fantastically themed, and just, with the floating mountains, and then going into the cave system, and then everything that they've done with the ruins of the mining industry, and then the lab. There's just so much in that ride. That is a ride that if you have the time to spend in the queue, spend the time in the queue, because you do miss quite a bit if you do the lightning lane on it. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, the queue is visually stunning, and like you said, Matt, the lightning lane queue just basically takes you up steel hallways.
Yeah.
And the actual queue winds through the floating mountains, past waterfalls, over bridges, through caverns, into, like you said, some of the RDM areas. I mean, and then some of the RDM areas are like being slowly taken back over by nature. Yeah, it is. It is, and you're right. One of my favorite moments on that ride is when you're in the cave and the pink flowers are luminescing. Not even flowers, like pink, I don't know, funky, whatever they are.
Yeah.
They're starting to luminesce, and it's kind of like the pools are bioluminescing, and you can feel the Banshee catching its breath from the very exciting interaction that it just had. Wow.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable ride, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised they haven't used that technology in other places to come up with a different ride.
To be fair, I'm glad they haven't, because I personally, this is just me, and this could be a hot take and it could be a controversial topic, but putting Ratatouille in almost immediately after Rise of the Resistance has completely, and then Minnie's Runaway Railway has completely sullied all three of those individual experiences, because it's the same ride experience across all three of them. And this is in my mind. I understand the track is different and the scenery is different, and I know that Rise of the Resistance does the little drop ship thing and the other ones don't do that, but ultimately I'm boarding a trackless vehicle system and working my way through various scenes. And all three of them are great rides, but the fact that they grabbed that technology and they were like, sweet, we got this new technology, blah, 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 and just like chucked it onto all these rides. I don't know. It just kind of watered it down for me.
Well, and it also, it doesn't help that, like, Ratatouille is a clone of the ride that's in the Paris park. The two Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railways are very close. They're not exactly the same.
It's similar, yeah.
There's a 40-second difference in ride time, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's different in some form. What I've heard, it's very, very subtle differences. Yeah. And then Rise is Rise. Rise is more, yes, there is that trackless vehicle part of that ride, but there are 4 other pieces of that experience that are absolutely spectacular.
For sure. And the fact that Rise starts when you first sort.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you are in an immersive experience for a solid 25 minutes. And that's if they're going fast.
Yeah. All right, so let's go over to your number 1.
Okay, so because you took Flight of Passage, I am going to go out on a limb. Are you ready? I am going to tell you preemptively, I will confirm on April 6th, that Tron Light Cycle Coaster is one of the top 3 thrill rides in Walt Disney World. I am ready. I am 100% convinced that ride is going to be an absolute thrill, from the launch to the systems to the dark to the in and out of the tunnels to just the neon everywhere following along with the Tron theme. The fact that you're going to be down riding on the light cycles that are featured in those films. Like, yes, hot take. I understand that we're 2 months premature, literally 2 months. It's 64 days. But I am going out on a limb right now on January 31st telling you that Tron Light Cycle Coaster is going to be 100% in the top 3 list. Honorable mention to Test Track, the one that I was referring to with my number 2, that is currently a top thrill ride. But I think that Light Cycle Coaster is going to supplant other things that are going on there. Now, my true top 3 would definitely include Flight of Passage if I was just making my own list.
Yeah.
But you've taken that, so let's go somewhere else. I'm going to tell you that starting in April, you are going to make it a point to ride Light Cycle Coaster if you are a thrill seeker at Walt Disney World. And arguably, it will be the only, with maybe, like, you can tell me Big Thunder Mountain is thrilling, and I'll go, okay, sure it is, yeah. 5 Lift Hills, thrilling. Yeah, so, like, I get that, but I think that Tron Light Cycle Coaster will be the only true thrill ride. I know Space Mountain's there, but man, that thing is just jostling. And I don't know if it's thrilling more than it is terrifying for somebody over 6 feet tall.
Yeah. I mean,
those beams are close to my head, and I'm not even all that tall.
All right, Peter. Another great top 3 episode again. If you want to interact with us, website's down below right now, but patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. You can check us out there. Thank you for joining us for another great top 3 episode. Hey, thanks for checking us out today. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons to help out the channel. Also, if you're looking for some more Disney content, check this out. I think you're going to like it.